In today's video, I am going to be breaking down Ace Bailey and why he is such a great shooter, but his basketball shooting form as well. There's going to be a lot of tips that I give in this video that will allow you to be able to shoot better from further away and more accurately. So let's get down and let's check him out. But really quickly, if you want to become a better shooter and shoot from further away, make sure to go check out the shooting workout that is down in the description below. But also, if you want to become a better shooting guard, make sure to go check out the shooting guard blueprint that is also down in the description that will allow you to be able to shoot the ball better, but also allow you to become a much more smarter and higher IQ shooting guard in the game. So let's get down, let's check out Ace Bailey and how he shoots. Okay, so obviously this is from the draft combine, and there's a lot of things that I really like what he does. So for one, what we're looking at is, of course, first we're going to look at his gather and how his knees as well as his hips are looking and why this is important. The fact that a lot of older coaches, a lot of older school shooting coaches will say you need to be 90 degrees at the hips and 90 degrees at the knees. When they're looking at your shooting form, there's a lot of things that go into it, but do you necessarily need to be 90 and 90? The answer is no. However, what I will say is I do like the fact that he's pretty close basically at 90 and 100 degrees. I'm not going to be lying. 90 degrees is pretty solid. The reason why you want to get down is because 90 degrees at the knees is because that's going to engage your quads. The quads are going to give you the power to get up. Now you want to be on your toes, which we see there's a little bit of a gap that's right there, because that will engage the Achilles, and the Achilles is the springiness to your jump. That's why toe hops are so important if you're looking to jump higher, because that's the springiness to your jump. Now, when it comes to his head and where he's looking, a lot of players, they'll dribble and they're looking down and they'll look up when they're shooting. You want to keep your head up the whole time and shoot. You want to be able to have your eyes on the rim. That's going to give you, of course, your peripheral vision to look around. When he goes up into his shot, it's all one motion. One motion is when you don't stop here. It's when you go all the way up into your shot. If you stop here and then at the peak of your jump, you fling it forward, well, that is going to give you a very straight shot. If you have a straight shot, that's going to make the rim look very small to the actual ball. And if you've got a lot of arc, where the ball arcs very high, that's going to make the rim look bigger to the ball. However, when you're actually shooting the ball, there's a few math calculations that you need to understand for the ball itself. So watching the ball in this clip go to the rim, obviously this camera's low and it's not going to be the most accurate when it comes to the actual drop of the ball, but we can kind of take a guess and say, well, the rim's here, and let me just try to get this working, but the rim is here, the ball is going to drop from there, so somewhere in the range of 40 to 45 degrees is the actual drop of the ball. I've mentioned this a million times, but basically, if your drop is too high, what's going to happen is if the ball hits the rim, because of gravity, it's going to give extra pressure and it's going to bounce that ball off that rim. Meanwhile, if the ball comes in too narrow, the rim is going to look too narrow and it's going to rim rattle and bounce out. So at 40, according to the math anyways, between 40 and 45 degrees on the drop, it's going to be perfect because then you're not getting too much gravity pressure, but at the same time, it's going to allow the rim to look pretty big. We have to remember that 2 basketballs fit in the rim. So by having 2 basketballs fit in the rim, we have to understand that roughly in that degree range, 40 to 45, will allow you to have a higher percentage shot. Now, there's a thing called energy transfer. Energy transfer is when you extend your back and then you extend your knees so that you can get up into the air much faster. And, of course, more smoother. Being able to get up into the air smooth is very important. Because, especially with a one-motion shot where it all goes up in one, what that's going to do is it's going to allow you to transfer the energy. When you're moving towards the rim, you've got forward momentum. You want to change forward momentum into upwards momentum So by doing that, you go 2-foot stop or a 1-2 stop. And when you do that, what that's going to essentially do for you is that's going to allow you to be able to transfer that energy. We can see the energy transfer right there up into his shot. He doesn't stop here. It goes all the way up. By stopping, having a 2-motion shot, that stops all of the power that you just brought with you. It stops it. Now you've got to use all of your upper body strength. So by having a 1-motion shot, as we see Ace Bailey do, that's going to allow you to have all of that momentum power that you had up into your shot, and it's going to allow you to shoot from further away, but it's going to allow it to be a lot more accurate because you are allowing your 1 motion to not throw your arm off. Now, when we look at the upper body, so once he gets into his set point, again, I'm going to show you what older school coaches will say, and I'm going to show you what new school coaches will say. So old school coaches will say that you need to have your shoulder and elbow, your shoulder at 90, your elbow at 90. Well, what happens is if you're shooting like this, and then you're releasing, now from going 90 elbow, 90 shoulder, you're going to notice that a lot of your release is much lower. But if you have a higher or a lower degree, so let's say a 45 degree on your elbow, that's going to allow you to have a higher set point, which is harder to block, but also it's going to allow you to have a higher release, which will give you more arc. So what we have Ace Bailey do here is he's got 90 on his shoulder, and when it comes to his elbow, he's at somewhere in that 50 degree range, which is going to give him more power, but also a higher set point, which is going to be harder to block at the NBA level. We can also see when we zoom into his actual shot, from gather right here, he has a neutral wrist. What the neutral wrist was going to do for him is a lot of players, they're told you got to see the wrinkles in your wrist. And that is, I'm going to tell you right now, that's uncomfortable for 90% of the population. So having a neutral wrist is going to allow you to then bend on the way up. If you're like me and most other shooters, like Curry kind of bends it a little bit. But a lot of shooters are now keeping a neutral wrist. That's more comfortable, which will allow you to have a more accurate shot overall. You want a shot that is, of course, in line, but you want a shot that's comfortable so that it's easier to stay accurate and easier to stay consistent. So we have Ace Bailey with a neutral wrist on gather all the way up to set point right here. He just bends it just slightly. So it goes from neutral, which is a straight wrist, and now we see at this point, there's his wrist. He's at like 127, 130-ish degree range, 120 to 130 degree, which is just a slight bend. It's not a neutral wrist, it's a slight bend, which will give him a little bit more rotation on that ball, and that's kind of what you want to see. Anyways, that is Ace Bailey's shot. Make sure to go check out the shooting workout that is down in the description below so that you can gain a lot of power and be able to shoot from further distances away. But also, if you're a shooting guard, make sure to go check out the shooting guard blueprint, which will allow you to be a much smarter, higher IQ basketball player, but also help you jump higher and have a better shot overall too. So definitely go check out those books. Anyways, I'll hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again in my next video.